Whichever flavor of Ubuntu you're using, there are two tasks that you will probably have to deal with as a newbie almost immediately after installing Ubuntu on your system. The first task is updating the system. The second task is configuring your screen. We have three choices. Either you're using the open source drivers that come with Ubuntu, or you may be using a manufacturer proprietary driver, such as the NVIDIA driver or the ATI drivers. And we're also going to show you how to deal with either or both of those. In this example, by the way, we're using the XFCE desktop with Mythbuntu. You see the little Mythbuntu logo there by the applications menu. I'm doing this just so you can see another flavor of Linux. As far as installing the video drivers, it's the same no matter which one we use. Now, if we go on applications and go into system, we have the additional drivers application, just like we've seen other places. Okay, now we've seen a similar thing if you watch the video on the NVIDIA driver. Here we see we started this, and here this driver is not installed yet. This is not green. We click the activate button. It will then download and install, in this case, the ATI driver. And again, we saw a similar thing in a previous video with the NVIDIA driver. This takes a minute or two depending on the speed of your internet connection. And you will be notified that a system restart is required when this is all done here. See the little restart little icon there? Okay. So we're going to have to restart the system now. We'll close this and restart the system. Now here we've just installed the ATI driver on this Ubuntu system. And as you can see behind me, I have one blank screen and one screen that's not blank. And the screen that's blank says out of range. I would like to show you this. And throughout the courses, we will show you things that work and also show you things that don't work. I hate it when people show things that work and everything's perfect and nothing ever goes wrong, because that's not the real world. This is the real world. And this is not an insurmountable problem. We're going to show you how to work around this. Okay, so we installed our drivers and rebooted, and one of our monitors says sync out of range, but that's not going to slow us down. First, let's find out where this went. Now, on this particular system, this is a Mythbuntu or in the XFCE desktop, it showed up under settings. Now here's one other rub we ran into. The ATI Catalyst Control Center opens up, but to make changes, administrator access is required. Unfortunately, we found when we tried to run the administrator version, the second item in our menu of the ATI config, nothing happens. So we have a little bugaboo here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to open a command line, go to accessories and terminal. The command we will use is gk sudo amd cccle. Enter. And now we'll ask us for a password. That's what's supposed to happen. Apparently it didn't install correctly in the menu system of this workstation. Put in our password. And now we have our display manager has opened up. Now we can do something. We didn't get that silly menu. First of all, we have a monitor that's not working. The one screen is not lit because the resolution is set too high. That's the number 2 screen. So here we're setting it back to 1024 by 768. Then we'll restart the system. Okay. We now have 2 screens, which you can see it's a mirrored view. We have the same thing on both screens. What we really want is one big desktop that spans both screens. So let's see how we can configure that with this ATI system. It's gksudo amd cccle. And it wants our administrative password. And there's our display manager. We now have clone displays. We want to change this display. Now that we have both displays working, we can go ahead and make our larger desktop. Alright, we're going to see what our selection is here. I think the one we want is multi-display desktop. And what we can also do is we'll apply this. And again, remember we have one monitor that has better resolution in there. We can go back, we can change that later, but first we'll get this working. We'll click apply. After clicking apply, we have 15 seconds to make sure the desktop looks okay. We then click OK, after which we'll have to restart the system to actually apply the new desktop settings permanently. This little widget over here allows us to identify the displays as 1 and 2, which helps in the configuration. We now have a multiple desktop. And if we save this, this should make us all happy now. We're back to what we want. The only thing I'd like to do is take display 1, because it is a higher resolution display. And I'm going to make that one higher resolution and apply. And we're going to restart. So as you can see, compared to the NVIDIA, the AMD can be more of a challenge. I'm trying not to be critical of one brand over another. I'm trying to be fair to everybody here. Just exiting that. Now we have our two desktops, left and right. So here you can see behind me we finally did arrive at the place we wanted to with our dual port system using the ATI graphics driver. I have to stress that this is a beginner's course and we show all these display config videos in case you're having troubles. If you're new and your display is working, you do not have to go through all this. Okay, so again, this is here just to help you in case you have problems. If your display is working, and my favorite saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You leave well enough alone, and you can continue with the basics of this course, and use these as a reference when you get more advanced later on. There's one more thing we want to show you here. Since we noticed in the ATI, the administrative didn't run except by starting it from a command line. We have a quick little clip we're going to show you now, which will show you how to fix that menu item. And then we're going to show you how to switch between the XFCE desktop and the standard GNOME desktop. So if you are using Mythbuntu, you can temporarily change your desktop and login, and you can follow the beginnings part of this course. Alright, we did a little digging and figured out a way to fix the ATI config administrator menu. Here's what we came up with. We right click on there in the menu and select properties. We have a choice here. I'm going to pick this for now, use the default menu, and then I'm going to pick edit menu, and we're going to go to our settings and our ATI Catalyst Control Center admin and select properties, and here's the screw up. The admin command is wrong. It's probably for another flavor of Linux. We're going to change that to gk sudo amd cccle. So now we close this out and we try to start our administrative version of the ATI graphics utility, and it should work just fine. Now the other thing is, if you're using Mythbuntu, it's perfectly alright. If you want your desktop to match ours, we're going to go here, System, Log Out. And we select our username, and here before we log in we will select Ubuntu Classic and then put in our password. And now we have our standard GNOME desktop with our 3 menus, and you can use this for the course. It's easy enough to change back. Obviously we just did in reverse. We log out. Select our username and pick our Mythbuntu session to put it back the way it was originally. And there we are, back to where we started. Now if you don't want the MythTV to start all the time, we can go to Settings Manager, Session and Startup, and there's our application Auto Start, and just uncheck the item for MythTV front end. Now you should have all the information you need to configure a Mythbuntu system to take this course and to set the desktop the way you need it. So follow the detailed instructions below that outline the things that we showed in this video clip.